Oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm so nervous. So, how do I look? So, I've been, unhappy with my model I've been using ever since I first made it, honestly, and I didn't rig it very well. So, I made a new model, and listen, I'm not a rigger really, like, professionally, so I, I can't say that this is the best rigging anyone has ever done. My head looks kind of weird. My ears flop a little strange, but I think she's cute and better rigged than my last one. My eyes, they have physics, and my mouth. It has more, it does more than just. You're kind of like stealing the show here. Can you get out of here? I refuse to pay to get rid of her, so she's part of the video too. But yeah, my mouth, it actually like does other things like my lips are quivering. Why? Stop that. I have this chain, and I have the booba, and oh, I did not do a full body. There's no point. There's no point in doing a full body rig. I'm not some big streamer, some big YouTuber who everyone knows and they want to see the whole body. There's not many instances where I'm gonna show my entire model, so it's kind of unnecessary and a lot more work for me. And let me tell you, model took a very long time. We'll get into it later when I show you the actual process of me making my model. I also want to be clear that this is not a tutorial because, again, I'm not like a good rigger by any means. I'm just kind of showing you what I did. I might at some points like go over some issues that I came across, so maybe if you like ran into the same issues I could save you. Oh, random thing. Hold on. Look at this. Look at this hair. I almost wanted to just completely change which hair was my default because I thought this was so cute. But this was the hair I was originally meant to have, and this is the hair that I rigged this head to have because when I have this one on, you can see it looks a little weird. I already had a character sheet made, so it wasn't that hard to figure out what she was supposed to look like, but for some reason I was having a really hard time with the body, so I just had to take like my old model and use her body as a template because it's so hard for some reason to draw bodies straight on. Right here, I'm drawing these ears, these bunny ears that were in like my original idea for the design. I, as you can see, did not keep those ears. I just forgot that I didn't want those ears anymore. And so I drew them all the way. I drew them, I colored them, I rendered them and everything before realizing that I didn't want those ears anymore. I forgot. I don't know how, but I did. I'm just rendering everything, and I feel like I could have done a better job on some of this, but it's hard to know what it's gonna look like when you rig it until you go to rig it. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not going back to edit any of this stuff in Photoshop. I don't care. I spent so long. I spent like 17 plus hours on the art alone. I didn't even record all of the time that I spent rigging. It was like 23 hours total of footage that I sped up and cut some parts out. It was so, oh my goodness, it was so much work. And here I am making the little updo thing where I have my bangs tied up. I wish this looked as good in real life as it does. in my drawings because I would do my hair like this all the time, but I just feel like it looks weird on me in real life. I'm doing all the little emotes and stuff, and then I export and everything is well with the world until I start actually rigging, and then I remember why I am not professional at this at all. So much stuff would have been made easier had I just done a better job with the art in the first place. I see a lot of the way people do this is they make the drawing first and then they cut the parts from each other, but I don't do that. As you could probably see whenever I was actually drawing it, I draw each part individually. This is where I was rigging the mouth, and I was like, I have got to give myself more mouth shapes than just open and close, because I just don't, it's so boring. I wanted more mouth shapes. And now I'm trying to do some physics stuff. I feel like I could have done better on this, but I just wanted them to move. And booba physics, hair physics. And I think I actually cut out the part where I struggled a lot with the hair, because whenever I got to this point, my hair was not working. Like, the bangs, I was gonna have a toggle for the bangs that are tied up, and for some reason, they, like, when I would turn my head, they would show up, and I was like, I've had this issue before, I forgot how I fixed it. Basically, the reason it was happening was because the way that I rigged the hair for the physics was by using the actual art mesh itself. But then whenever I combined all that and made a parameter for it to disappear and reappear so I could toggle between the hairstyles, I was also using just straight up the art mesh, and that meant they were kind of connected. The transparency and the physics were connected. So anytime the physics would activate, it would also activate the transparency. And so that's the issue. So if you had that issue, that's what's wrong. You should probably make a new warp deformer and add all the things you want to disappear to that warp deformer, and then use the transparency on that. Here I'm just messing with all the parameters, or I'm messing with all the inputs and outputs so I can make the face react a little better, because some things were a little too sensitive and some things weren't sensitive enough, and I spent so long doing this. I spent like an hour and a half just messing with this stuff, and you can see me just jiggling my head around to see if everything's working the way it's supposed to, and it looks so funny. Right here, I was trying to make my eyebrows work because they were moving together, and for some reason I could not figure out how I separate them, because I know I've done it before. I had to look at my old model and see what I did for that one, and then I figured it out. I basically just needed to change the input to the correct brow. So for the brow form and height left, I needed to make sure the input was brow left Y, and it was the same for both of them, brow left Y. And then for the right eye, it's brow right Y. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. I was so confused. And then I start just posing. a little bit more of editing these things to make sure that my mouth stays closed when it's supposed to and it opens when I want it to. I was also trying to make sure my in-betweens worked, like my smile. It's really hard to get the frown smile or like the frown like partly open mouth to work, which is upsetting because I really like the way it looks. You can see me here trying to get it to work. It's hard because I think my camera has a hard time understanding when I'm frowning. And then I got all up close and personal, talking to myself like a crazy person, and watching my eyes dilate as I blink. And then here I'm making all of my toggles. I'm making my hair toggles so I can switch between my hairstyles, and then all these different expressions. For these, basically, again, this is not a tutorial, but if you're trying to get different expressions, you don't have to make them all in Live 2D Studio. You can basically just make some basic things that you need, like the shadow for the face, or tears, or heart eyes, and then you can just combine whatever you want together within VTube Studio. You basically just make opacity toggles for them, and whenever you want to use them, you can just, in the expression editor, turn the opacity on to tell it that you want that expression to show up, or that little sticker. They're basically just stickers. And here I actually realized I did not rig the hearts on the eyes to actually move with the eyes as they look around. I just made them move with the head, so they just sit on top of the eyes really awkwardly, but I think they look fine. I didn't want to fix it because it's a lot of work. I just didn't feel like it. Now I'm making all the hotkeys so I can actually use these. I always forget to actually use any of my toggles, so I don't know how often I'll use any of these. I might just use my hair toggle and decide I want my hair to look like this today. But for the expressions, usually when I'm actually feeling an emotion in the moment, I'm too absorbed by my emotion to think about using the toggles. And here I'm just posing. I really liked that expression, so I just sat here staring at myself for forever, changing the hairs and then making little smug faces. Anyways,